There have been so many times in my life where I've had to tap into a level of faith that can only be called radical. Um, have you ever been there? Have you ever had to just have faith that makes no sense? Faith that to other people might seem crazy? Faith that says, I don't care what this situation looks like. I don't care what I'm believing in God for, but I know that He can and He will. Like it's that kind of radical faith that I have had to tap into so many times, so many times. And even right now, there are areas of my life where I still have radical faith for God to move in a supernatural way. Those areas of my life that have felt, you know, like it's just so impossible. But we know that for God, nothing is impossible. And so, a lot of times when you are having to tap into radical faith, that crazy faith, that I don't care what it looks like type of faith, this builds character. This builds character. When you look at the story of Moses, God lifted him up out of his situation, lifted him out of where he lived in his day to day life, and said, this is what I'm going to do through you. I'm going to take you into a place, sight unseen, and you're going to follow the directions that I'm going to give you, and you're going to lead my people out of bondage. You're going to guide my people. And what did Moses say? He's like, I'm not really a good speaker. God's like, okay, well, you have your brother Aaron, and I could just use him for now. There were just so many things that would have made Moses an unlikely candidate. I mean, he had just committed murder before God chose him to do this. And so when he was able to just surrender himself and have radical faith, God was able to use Moses to lead the Israelites out of captivity and to guide them through their journey in the wilderness. So, it's tapping into that radical faith, like, Lord, I need you to be with me in this circumstance, whether you're in a wilderness season, whether it's financial, whether it's you're waiting for a healing, a medical miracle, whatever it might be. God is still moving. He is still well and able to touch any circumstance in your life. And we see that evidence of that time and time again. And God's word, it is a reminder to us that God is a living God, and He's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. He is the same God who parted a Red Sea, and He is the same God who can make a way for you, whatever it might be, your housing situation, financial breakthrough. I mean, the list can go on, but God is still moving and He is still able. But are you hungry for it? Are you radical enough to say, God, I don't care what it looks like, but I will hold on. I will hold on to you. I will hold on to your promises. I will sit and wait. I will continue to pray and believe and fast and read my word. And I will stay focused on you until you move, because I trust and believe that you can do it. Look at the woman with the issue of blood. She said, if I could just touch the hem of his garment, if I could just touch his garment, I don't even need him to lay hands on me to heal me. I don't even need to look at him face to face for him to pray over me. I have so much faith that he is who everyone is saying that he is. And so if I could just touch his garment, I will be healed. And after 12 years of having this issue of blood, she was healed. And what else happened when he was, what happened was that he was actually on his way to perform another miracle. We know that he was on his way um, to heal a 12-year-old girl. And the Bible is just so beautiful in the way how everything is written. And so this was a 12-year-old girl. So you have the woman with the issue of blood who was dealing with this for 12 years. And it just so happens that exactly 12 years later, her miracle and this miracle become aligned. And as Jesus is on his way to go heal, I believe it's Gaius's daughter, time is ticking, and he turns around. He said, "Who touched me? I felt power leave me. Who touched me?" And the woman with the issue of blood, it was me. And he said, "Your faith has healed you." It was her faith. It was her faith connected to her touching that garment. It was her faith that healed her. And so then he continues on to go to heal the little girl, the 12-year-old girl. And what ends up happening is that, some of Gaius's friends, they said, "You're too late. You're too late. She's gone." And Jesus just looks at Gaius and says, "Do not doubt. Just believe. Just believe." It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter. That radical faith is the faith that will get you through. That radical faith where you hold on to the Lord and say, "God, you can do this. I can't, but you can." They get to the house and she is gone. And at first he gets there and there were people there and they were crying and all this stuff. And when he says, "Hey, it doesn't matter. I can still heal her," they start laughing, right? So that's also interesting too. You can't rely on other people when it comes to you having faith in what God can do in your life. People won't understand, people won't see it. But as long as you know that you have that radical faith, that's all that matters. Because one minute they will be weeping for you, and then the next minute laughing at you for your radical faith. And so Jesus says, "Okay, all you doubters, all y'all need to go." And he was able to bring this 12-year-old girl back to life. That is radical faith. Radical faith. When Moses was crossing the Red Sea, he had to have radical faith that God was going to part that sea so that they can get right through. And it's very interesting because if you do go into some research, you will find that there is a pathway, I believe. These are not fairy tales. God is who he says he is through his word. And so, when you read the word, really let these stories, let their truth really speak to you and minister to you, because that is what this word is here for. It's here to show us who God is. These are his words that he breathed his breath in. These are not fairy tales. So if God parted a Red Sea, then he parted a Red Sea. And he can part a Red Sea in your life as well. I remember there was a time when I took matters into my own hands, okay? And I was in a bind financially. I was a broke actor, writer in LA for a long time. And so being broke was just, part of, my life. And so this was, one of those times when it got really scary. And I just remember that I had radical faith that God could move. But there was still a little part of me that was trying to manipulate the situation a little bit. And I'm just going to be transparent. So there was a guy that I was seeing, and I was kind of using this, situation and the circumstance that I was in to sort of, be like, "Oh, please help me. I don't know what to do. Maybe I could stay with you for a little bit and I can sublet my apartment," or I forgot what it was, but it was a bunch of silliness that I was trying to do. And the Lord shut that down really quick. And, to be honest with you, mid conversation, he stopped responding to me. And then I never heard from him again. We were seeing each other for quite a long time. And I knew that the Lord was saying that, like, this, enough is enough with this boy. And now you're, trying to manipulate the situation and not rely on me. You don't need nobody to be, some sort of rescuer for you. I am your God. I will make a way. And so I knew to just leave him alone. And I did not text him ever again. And I just left it alone. And I knew that the Lord was saying, Tiffany, I will figure this out with you. And so I just trusted and believed for the next few days that God would make a way. He would make a crazy way. He would do something absolutely insane. And he did. He did. I checked my mailbox exactly a week later, and there was a check in the mail for $1,000 from someone who I least expected. She was a family friend, and the Lord had just, I guess, spoke to her heart. And when I called her, I was just bawling, crying. And I said, why did you do this? This is not somebody who's wealthy or anything like that. She said, no, Tiffany, I don't know. I just, I came into some money and I just knew that I had to give this to you. And you deserve it. And I know you can use it right now, right? And I said, yeah. And it was just that simple. No questions asked, nothing. This is not somebody that I was talking to about, oh, what was me? And da-da-da. No, not at all. But I was on her mind, and she sent that, and she didn't have to. But the Lord orchestrated all of that. And I was able to pay my rent, and it was just incredible. And so God is able. He's able. He's able. I have seen him perform healings, and I've mentioned before that I'm part of an awesome prayer group, and he is moving, he is doing things, but you have to just have that radical faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. That is in Hebrews 11. It's Hebrews 11, verse 1. And that whole chapter is so incredible because it gives you a whole rundown of all of the great fathers of faith in the Old Testament, in just evidence of all their examples of how they had to just trust in the Lord. Abraham, the father of faith, and believing in the Lord for what he was doing, saying, I need you to leave your homeland and I need you to go to the place that I'm leading you to. And yes, your wife, doesn't matter how old she is, but she will conceive. We know that through his seed came eventually Jesus, and he became the father of many nations. He said that your descendants will be as numerous as the stars in the sky, and we are part of that inheritance now. Moses and Noah, people probably thought Noah was so crazy, and people definitely thought Noah was crazy, because the Lord said, I'm going to need you to build this thing, and it's going to shelter you from this thing called rain that I know the earth has never seen before, but I need you to just do what I'm telling you to. And he's like, okay. And he did exactly what God did, and he was prepared. And people probably thought he was crazy, but he had that radical faith. And so Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 is in a really great chapter if you are dealing with fickleness of faith in any way. Go and be reminded of the radical faith that these incredible men of God had. Look at Sarah. Sarah was Abraham's wife. Sarah, she conceived. I think she was like 90 years old. And this was a promise of God that she would have a child. And there were so many promises connected to that child. And she didn't understand how God would do it, but he did. So I say all this to say, I'm still holding on to radical faith for certain things in my life. things that seem to be taking forever. But, God determines the times and the seasons. And we should continue to just hold on and understand that God's timing is so perfect. For God, one no 1,000 years is like one day. And so, God's timing is God's timing. Okay. So if I'm still holding on to radical faith, you should continue to still hold on to radical faith. We can all hold on to radical faith and be in this together and know that God is able. He's able for whatever it is that you're dealing with today, financially, spiritually, relationship wise, for your marriages, for those who are still single and waiting on that Mr. Right, Mrs. Right, for the job that you need, for the career that you're waiting for your calling, for your purpose, whatever it is, for that barren womb, whatever it is, have radical faith, believe. Hebrews 11, it continues on to talk about, it is the substance of things unseen, right? And so God created this world out of nothing, out of a word. And it takes faith to believe in that and to trust in that. So if you can trust and believe in the God who created all things, you will understand and you will know that he is sovereign and that your situation he got you. Okay. He got you. Now, it's not about being rigid. God answers things in the way that he does, and you can't be rigid about how he answers you. But know that, your time is coming, your season is coming, your breakthrough is coming. Might not come exactly how you envisioned it, but if you are surrendered and allow God to move, he can and he will. I think I said everything I wanted to say. I didn't really plan much for this video, and so maybe if I think of anything else that the Lord brings to my mind, I can always do a part 2, but just hold on to your radical faith, man. Trust and just wait and see what he can do with that radical faith. And you don't have to have radical faith because he can move with a mustard seed of faith. But when you got that radical faith, imagine the crazy things he can do. Because I think I said enough. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought of this. And if God has done anything crazy in your life that you could only attribute to the supernatural power of God. So I would love to hear your testimonies as well. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.